It is 1977. It is Inter-Dominion Grand Final night at Albion Park in Brisbane. The sentimental favourite is the idol of Albion Park, Paleface Adios. He has come through the heats undefeated and shares the back mark with New South Wales pacer Don't Retreat and Pure Steel from Western Australia. The local hope is Sporting Sun, to be driven by Queensland's top reinsman Kevin Thomas. There are 3 New Zealanders in the field. One of them is Stanley Rio, trained by George Noble and driven by his son John. George Noble dead heated on JR in the Dunedin final in 1965. If Stanley Rio can win, the Nobles will make history as the first father and son combination to drive Inter-Dominion Grand Final winners.
Sporting Sun bounced straight into his gear. He's put in a couple of rough ones now, but he's hitting his stride again. Stanley Rio actually won the start. Paleface Adios began brilliantly. He's running 4th on settling down. Don't Retreat. Trusty Scott began fairly well. He's 3rd last. Getting back in the field was Pure Steel and Soul Command. On the turn out of the straight, and Sporting Sun is now dashed to the front. It's Sporting Sun on the fence.
A horse in it called Sporting Sun, which Kevin Thomas trained and drove, and he'd been very impressive, winning a couple of heats from end to end and going record times. And Kevin, I think, was confident of being able to do likewise in the final, whereas I knew I had the best beginner. I could beat them all out, because old Stan was magic out of the barrier. And I thought, well, if I can get the sit on Sporting Sun, I'll give them some Larry Dooley when the business end comes along. So, sure enough, that's just what happened. Kevin went to the front, and then I let him go, followed him, and down the back, Paleface Adios came along, and Pure Steel pursuing him. But I had time to leave the fence and beat them pretty easily in the finish, and went a record time, mainly due to Sporting Sun. But the old horse really had them covered a long way out.
Then Trusty Scott, Conmara Chief, Soul Command, and Don't Retreat last. 600 left to go, and it's Sporting Sun holding the lead. Sporting Sun a length and a half in front of Stanley Rio, who's hooked in on the fence. Pure Steel hard driven on the outside. Pike biding his time on Paleface Adios. Master Findlay next on the rails, and then Conmara Chief. 400 left to go. Sporting Sun clear of Stanley Rio. Sporting Sun in front as they swing to the corner. 200 left to go. Stanley Rio looks a danger to him. I don't think Paleface can win. Sporting Sun straightens up a length in front of Stanley Rio, who's running him down. Stanley Rio's moved up to Sporting Sun. Master Findlay's getting through on the inside. It's Stanley Rio just in front of Master Findlay, and Sporting Sun. It's a New Zealand victory. Stanley Rio's won from Master Findlay. 3rd Sporting Sun.
The only thing that did disappoint me, I didn't get much of a reception from the crowd, and when you consider that the horse was an Australian and my father and myself were Australians, I thought, well, perhaps, you know, we'd get a bit of a better reception, but you could have heard a pin drop. And I was a little bit disappointed in that, but nevertheless, we'll have to go back and have another go and see if we get a better turnout the next time.
The Nobles have won a unique place in harness racing history books.